The first thing Nigel did when the universe opened its doors to tourists was bring along his cat, Whiskers. Unlike many interstellar travelers who opted for guidebooks or holographic translators, Nigel relied on the comforting purrs and gentle nudges of his feline companion to guide him. As far as he was concerned, Whiskers was a travel necessity, like a soft, fluffy compass that didn't give directions but made sure you felt good about being lost. The spaceship, the Rover II, was a refurbished mining vessel retrofitted for more leisurely purposes, its wide interior now lined with cozy living pods and an observation deck with transparent panels offering stunning views of the cosmos. Beneath the seats and behind control panels hummed devices of alien origin, technology Nigel didn't fully understand but appreciated for its efficiency. Stars streaked past like cascading silver, a backdrop to his little corner of the ship, casually messy yet instantly inviting. Nigel sat cross-legged on a gravity cushion in the ship's common area, watching Whiskers bat at a low floating orb illumination projector. A short distance away, an alien named Gralnock observed their interaction with keen interest, his three eyes blinking in asymmetrical rhythm. Gralnock's species, the T-Rugid, were known for their gift of perception and ability to discern underlying patterns, making them excellent mediators and educators across star systems. "Your creature possesses a formidable air," Gralnock stated, gesturing with his long, elegant fingers towards Whiskers. There was a measured quality to Gralnock's voice, a melodic flow that was both soothing and curious. Nigel chuckled, the laugh causing Whiskers to perk her ears up. "You mean Whiskers?" "Nah, she's just a cat. Harmless as a hologram." "Fascinating," Gralnock replied, watching as Whiskers leapt off the floor, quick as light, to chase a second bulb now casting trembling shadows across the deck. In T-Rugid culture, such agile prowess and stealth would denote an apex predator. An apex? What? Nigel raised an eyebrow, offering Whiskers a piece of crisp rock fish he had saved from lunch, watching bemused as the cat sniffed it with what seemed like disinterest before sauntering off. "Apex predator," Gralnock repeated, the term rolling off his tongue like an incantation. "The top of the food chain. Supreme. Unmatched." Nigel snorted. "Not Whiskers. The most she can hunt is the bottom of an empty food bowl." He glanced fondly as the cat rolled lazily, finding a warm beam of starlight to sleep in. Their exchange drew others into its gravitational pull. Captain Trix Falls, a no-nonsense human in a worn brown jacket, peered down from an upper-deck railing. "What's this about cats ruling the universe, then?" "It is theorized that her species' cats harbor latent abilities," Gralnock explained, gesturing at fellow passengers who had begun to draw near. Murmurs of intrigue spread like ripples in water through the crowd, a delightful misunderstanding taking root. Nearby, Ansa, an Emberian with scales that shimmered in shades of teal, nodded thoughtfully. "We once had a cat. Long-lived they are, yes, masterful in their independence. I might seize one for security purposes." Nigel, seeing the conversation veering towards myth-making, held up both hands. "Hold your cosmic horses now. Whiskers is more about cuddles than conquest." "But isn't that how they deceive?" Gralnock mused. "An animal that chooses its moments, isn't that the mark of a true tactician?" The absurdity of the conversation caused Nigel's mouth to twitch in a wry smile. "Seems like wherever we go, folks love a good tale." Despite Nigel's protests, Whiskers sauntered around like she knew she was the subject of an intergalactic mix-up. Perhaps in another life, Whiskers was indeed an apex predator, impervious to affection, unmatched by any challenge, and cunning enough to never chase a laser pointer unless she felt like it. It was at this moment the navigation alert blared, drawing them from their musings, signaling their arrival at the next destination, the Peaceful Skies Trade Station, a bustling hub of commerce and diplomatic exchanges teetering on the expansive rings of Zenith Prime, a planet settled in orbit around a languid golden sun. Captain Trix ran a hand over the cold metal rail. "All right, everyone, all aboard the hub of 1,000 cultures. Let's make it less of a mess than last time, shall we?" With that, the group dispersed towards designated checkpoints, vague murmurings about the cat accompanying whispers of amazement and expectation. Well versed in human adaptability, the passengers shifted gears as the rover I docked with practiced ease. As Nigel clipped on Whiskers' spacer harness, the little traveling adventure guidebook clearly meant for small pets, he could only shake his head at the towering expectations now centered around his pampered tabby. Undaunted, Whiskers sniffed the air, her keen eyes taking in the vibrant stretch of the station starscape beyond. Unbeknownst to Nigel, Galactic and a few other curious crew members watched where Whiskers led, weaving quietly through a crowd of diverse new species, appearing entirely at ease amidst towering aliens, hovering drones, and sweeping arcs of translucent walkways. There was a devious brilliance in Whiskers' every feline step, a regal side-eye cast at lesser mortals. Whatever clarity the misunderstandings might bring, only one thing was certain: what humans considered just a pet perhaps had a larger, wilder universe in mind. Nigel's universe might have just gotten a little bigger, whether Whiskers intended it, or fate had more plans that no one could be sure. But for now, it was a beginning. The Peaceful Skies trade station was a sprawling bioluminescent city parked amidst the stars, its rotating structures resembling the petals of a gigantic celestial flower. As Nigel stepped onto the orbital platform, he marveled at the intertwining arch of alien architecture and commerce, where vendors of otherworldly goods hawked wares beneath hovering signs in luminescent scripts. The Whiskers was already darting ahead, her harness comfortably affixed against her fur, casting curious eyes towards neon-hued creatures that flitted from stall to stall. Nigel had to jog to keep up with her, his senses assaulted by the fragrant aroma of intergalactic spices, holographic advertisements, and the clamorous symphony of countless languages. Galactic trailed discreetly behind, still intrigued by the enigmatic feline whose presence now piqued the interest of many station denizens. In the unfamiliar settings of an open market, curiosity was king, and Whiskers reigned over it seamlessly, brushing past legs of hawkers from distant galaxies like a queen passing through her kingdom. As Nigel explored, he found himself charmed by a vendor selling technoflower's bioengineered blooms that sang soft, haunting tunes. He was examining one particularly vibrant specimen when Galactic appeared at his side, holding a curious contraption shaped like an interstellar beetle. For communication enhancement, Galactic explained, offering the device. Consider it a token of cultural exchange. Nigel accepted it with a grateful nod, noting how seamlessly Galactic transitioned between observing and participating, a skill acquired through years of insight, no doubt. It was also during this exchange that the first grumblings of trouble made themselves known. A series of loud thuds reverberated across the platform, followed by gasps and then muffled laughter from a nearby cluster of bystanders. To Nigel's horror, Whiskers had scrambled onto the front counter of a bustling food stall and was currently batting at a precariously balanced rack of specialized cutlery. Amidst the disruptive antics, a burly alien chef, whose skin glistened like molten metal, approached with obvious irritation. "Is that your creature?" the chef demanded, gesturing with 3 heavy fingers. His voice was guttural, yet steeped in the formalities of trade hub decorum. "Yes, she's mine," Nigel admitted, stepping forward to scoop Whiskers away. She watched the interested crowd serenely, as though her artful disruption was part of some greater exhibition. "I apologize for the excitement." Galactic intervened with a diplomatic charm, his voice tempering the restaurateur's rising annoyance. "We would be happy to compensate for any disruption," he offered smoothly, producing from the folds of his attire a small packet of iridescent stones, currency of considerable value. In the buzz of resumed normalcy, with Whiskers safe in Nigel's arms, he surveyed the corners of the market. While the hope for smooth sailing seemed a distant memory, excitement thrummed beneath the surface of the alien assembly. The misunderstanding had electrified the crowd. Stories and speculation circulated rapidly, no doubt with Whiskers as their charismatic center. Yet as Nigel chatted amiably with Galactic, another figure entered the scene: Zarkon, the esteemed diplomat whose reputation mirrored his stature, imposing and intricate. Robed in fabric woven with threads of captured light, Zarkon's presence commanded attention. He greeted Galactic with a customary nod of kinship, then turned his penetrating gaze toward Nigel and Whiskers. You, human Zarkon's voice was akin to resonant chimes bear a creature of significance. It is fortunate you have not ventured further without escort. Nigel felt the weight of cultural missteps rising again, but there was also intrigue. Whiskers? She's just a cat from Earth, he stated for what felt like the 100th time. Zarkon's smile was knowing, with a shadow of mischief and mystery. But here, perceiving is not merely seeing, it is understanding. And such understanding might hold untapped potential for peace or peril. The words, cryptic and grand, had gathered more listeners, and Nigel couldn't help but feel his heart skip. The stakes unfurled before him, heightened by perceptions he had yet to grasp but was deeply entangled within. Galactic, witnessing the escalation in suspense, suggested a diversion. It would be wise to explore mutual interests at the station's interspecies forum. Shared knowledge blunts the edges of uncertainty. Their journey led them to a grand amphitheater where peaceful accords were drawn, an arena of unity among diverse life forms. Here Nigel marveled at the intricacies of intergalactic alliance, the shared vision of worlds bound not by conquest, but by common harmony. As the session commenced, cultural representatives took to the floor, highlighting mutual challenges and collaborative triumphs. Nigel, both excited and overwhelmed, sensed the air charged with diplomacy woven amid conversations of trade routes, environmental preservation, and shared technological advances. During a pause, Galactic engaged Nigel in conversation, bolstered by Whiskers' presence that had stirred imaginations. Each culture sees through the lens of its own history, Galactic began, explaining how variable perspectives drove diverse interpretations of Whiskers' nature. Their dialogue attracted small groups of interested individuals, evolving into discussions of Earth's fauna and its place in the broader ecosystem of the biosphere universe. In witnessing Nigel's recounting of Earth's natural balance and Whiskers' unburdened charm, the crowd found common ground, a path to deepen interspecies empathy. In those moments of shared stories and understanding, hidden complexities unraveled, potential friction was met with harmony, and humor emerged where there might have been tension. Within this epoch of starfarers and explorers, it seemed Nigel's journey had morphed into a galaxy-shaping pursuit, a dance of perspectives guided by the softest of paws. The interactions had subtly shifted the paradigm, hinting at new alignments, unexpected friendships, and the possibilities that perception could unlock. As the day concluded, texts had been rewritten, treaties reconsidered. Whiskers' perceived prowess had managed to kindle new flames of camaraderie and cautious curiosity, weaving an unpredictable tapestry that Nigel now realized he was intimately part of. Thus their voyage on peaceful skies fulfilled its promise of revelation. While the universe stretched infinite, its true essence was ever found in those intimate, unexpected moments woven from the camaraderie of a human, a diplomat, and a cat named Whiskers, a mighty, galactic force disguised in fur. As Nigel returned to the rover II, clutching Whiskers close, he looked forward into the vast unknown. Wherever they wandered, there was wisdom to be found, ties to be forged, and surely misunderstandings to mend, with Whiskers leading the way. Nigel stood watching the stars from the observation deck, the vast tapestry of space seemingly unchanged, yet charged with new significance. The events at the Peaceful Skies trade station had shifted the course of an interstellar alliance, all triggered by the improbable fear and fascination with Whiskers. He found himself pondering the nature of perception, how different eyes can see the same creature as predator or pet, reality shifting with the gaze. As he mused, a soft nudge at his ankle drew his attention. Whiskers, the catalyzing feline whose unexpected role had woven them into a new web of destiny, sat at his feet, her eyes glinting with intelligence, or perhaps just a call for dinner. Nigel chuckled, reaching down to hoist her up, her fur warm against his arm. "Come on, girl. Let's see what food hasn't been turned into snacks." Their peaceful moment was interrupted when Galactic entered the deck, his expression more serious than usual. The T-Rugid was cradling a communication orb which pulsed blue and green, indicating urgency. "Nigel, there is a matter of some importance that requires our attention," Galactic began, his voice earnest. "What's going on?" Nigel asked, belatedly intuitive about the shift in tone. We have received a communication from Ixar Khan. He has been consulting with the council representatives and evidence has arisen suggesting potential sabotage aimed at undoing the growing alliance formed at the station. Nigel felt a ripple of surprise and dread. Sabotage? How would that even? Galactic nodded gravely. It appears that misconceptions about Whiskers on the station had triggered not just curiosity, but fear in certain factions long resistant to change. If unchecked, this could erode the progress we fostered while there. Someone's afraid of a cat. Nigel's disbelief bubbled into a nervous laugh, shadowed by the weight of the implications. Yet even as he spoke, the truth nestled deeper, springing still further into realms that made his heart beat faster. It seems that intent is broader than a creature's misinterpreted significance, Galactic clarified. It's a calculated move to destabilize the alliances. The potential to manipulate fears can indeed be a formidable weapon. Then we need to act fast, Nigel agreed. His gaze swept to Whiskers, whose tranquil demeanor belied her unasked for ideological impact. Galactic's antennae flickered in mutual agreement. We must counter these machinations with transparency. Around them, the rover I resonated with life, the gathering sense of anticipation mirrored by each of its crew members who had become unlikely companions and friends through the circling of stars. As Nigel and Galactic plotted, the urgency morphed into a communal mission. Within hours, they planned their return to the station, this time prepared to confront lingering misconceptions and the looming shadow of sabotage. The journey marked by hyperspace warp was mired in preparation. Maps and trajectories scatter across displays a roadmap forged by fragile alliances and unyielding truth. As the rover I approached the station, Nigel considered their strategy, recalling moments of shared camaraderie. Trust hadn't come easily in a place where difference was the norm. But their newfound purpose kindled a unity dictated by mutual goals, maintaining peace and neutralizing the threat clinging to misunderstandings. Upon docking, they were met by Ixar Khan, whose solemnity spoke volumes. The grand halls that once buzzed with commerce now echoed with the murmur of anxious delegates bracing for pending discord. Yet within the tension pulsed a resilience that would drive the council forward. Ixar Khan led Nigel and Galactic towards the assembly chamber, his stride revealing the gravity of their undertaking. To prevent this from unraveling, we must address everyone's fears openly. There will be a convening of factions to resolve misconceptions before they can spiral beyond control. And if resistance rears its ugly head, Nigel asked, his voice more textured, his resolve hardened by the need to protect the bridge they'd barely begun to construct. Then we will resolve it together, Ixar Khan replied. With reason, and if necessary, improvisation. Inside the chamber, a milieu of colors and sounds converged, a swirling nebula of conversations ready to ripen into consensus or conflict. Around the council circle, representatives from countless worlds exchanged looks founded on varying degrees of skepticism, hope, and curiosity. Nigel, picking up Whiskers for balance and symbolism, felt the gravity of history unfurl at their converging destinies. As they introduced themselves, Nigel emphasized a story of accidental consequence, a humorous journey from star-crossed fate and travel, to the role their little errant had played in revealing perspectives. It began with a cat, Nigel offered, sincerity woven through his voice. Funny thing, perception. What one person sees as a danger, another can see as relief. But in that, there will always be space for learning, and as star wanderers, isn't that our greatest challenge? Emerging at precisely the right moment, Whiskers yawned, capturing the attention of weary representatives. The image of a celestial predator, demystified in the gaze of a curious and needy feline, carried far-reaching implications. Drawn together, the assembly's understanding renewed. Conversations burgeoned, initiatives tasked with forging transparency through exchanges, special cultural sessions to bridge gaps, and vital trade discussions pointing to a tempered resolve. The agents of discord were recognized, exposed as the minority vanguards of an obsolete regimen. With momentum building against adversarial forces, they navigated uncertainty, pushing beyond fear toward unity. Exar Khan's smiling gestured to resolve differences through continued refrain and connection. Today's heartbeats will carry into tomorrow's symphony, he intoned sagely. In a final act, as their plans solidified, Nigel and Galactic worked to increase interstellar communications. Through holograms and orbs, visualized streams linked diverse systems, needed strands of connectivity that tethered distant kin. And through their journeys towards cooperation and mutual regard, there emerged understanding seeded even as resistance attempted divergence. Reveling in their triumphs, small and innumerable, laughter-punctuated moments anew, serving as the balm of reaffirmed camaraderie. Thus, on the heels of resolution, the rover I carried Nigel, Galactic, and Whiskers back across the starlines. As they receded from the station that marked determination, Nigel's thoughts captured their commitment to nurture what was ignited, tethered no more to caution and misapprehension. For Whiskers, now a companion not just in heart and travel, but in shared interstellar fate, Nigel wondered at her farthest legacy. It was a reminder how peace required perpetual diligence and the courage to lay bare consciousness foundations to stem from unity. Together, as they drifted towards their next achingly beautiful adventure, Nigel smiled with the conviction that wherever the cosmos led them, among debate and myths and truth, they would not just endure but flourish. In the vibrant heart of the Peaceful Skies trade station, the corridors of concession swarmed with life. Nigel found himself navigating through a menagerie of beings, all absent-mindedly fascinated by the newfound arbiter of cosmic discourse, his tabby cat, Whiskers. The tableau was reminiscent of a wild bazaar, where every individual carried their planet's hopes and delusions, rearranged on the bargaining tables of intergalactic diplomacy. Nigel felt the weight of an odd combination of pride and surrealism at the center of this galactic drama. Here he stood, an unassuming human interwoven into the very fabric of universal peace talks by a series of fortunate, if not bizarre, misunderstandings. He held Whiskers, who with her calm demeanor displayed an air of nonchalance that seemed at odds with her newfound reputation as an apex predator. Galactic, ever observant, remained a steadfast ally, a constant presence lending both counsel and steady support. Nigel, he began thoughtfully, your Whiskers is a beacon. This misunderstanding, as peculiar as it is, resonates with many here searching for tangible symbols of strength and wisdom. Nigel glanced at Whiskers, her eyes half-lidded in a mixture of apathy and benign curiosity. All this because she's a cat, he marveled, looking convivial yet pensive as they moved through watchful crowds. In their wake, conversations hummed with the latest ruminations on the earthling enigma. As they approached the grand concourse, Exar Khan joined them in effervescent strides, his diplomatic poise sharpened by experience and purpose. The gravity of the moment met with his usual composure. Time presses upon us, he stated, much rests on dispelling this tension with clarity and rapport. It had been quick for the misunderstanding surrounding Whiskers to morph from fleet surprise to potential menace. The intrigue bubbling early on had proved fertile ground for factions keen on leveraging fear to destabilize emergent alliances. Yet Nigel was not alone on this cosmic stage. A gathered assembly of supporters armed with trust and transparency backed them, ready to face down the growing fears. Nigel nodded, a smile creeping at the corner of his mouth. Who would have thought I'd need to give a speech about my cat? His words were jest but underpinned by seriousness. Exar Khan's presence commanded respect and attentiveness. Now it was Nigel's turn to lean into diplomacy, drawing on the lengths they had come to broker connection. The trio stepped onto a platform in the grand amphitheater, atmospheric enough to display an imposing backdrop of swirling stars. Every seat before them filled with representatives, a microcosm of alien societies gathered under one stellar roof. The air thrummed with anticipatory tension, underscored by the belief that interstellar peace might hinge on what unfolded here. As the room gradually settled into silence, Galactic, acting as the opening speaker, stood tall and luminous. Today we witness curiosity and cooperation blend, a testament to mutual understanding for which our domains will reach further unity. When Nigel's turn arrived, he caught Whiskers' calculating gaze and felt reassured by its thoughtless serenity. Grateful for the tranquilizer-like calm that was inherent in cat behavior, he started. Distinguished friends. He addressed the assembly, surprise flashing through him at how natural it felt. It seems Earth is known for far more than just blue oceans and sunsets now. Laughter fluttered through the crowd, warmth suffusing each face. Allies and skeptics alike tuned their focus, and Nigel capitalized on the opening to deflate the tension. I wish to assure you all that Whiskers, as she is called, is in fact very much a regular cat. He raised Whiskers slightly, drawing affectionate cheers from among the crowd that rippled along the assembly like gentle waves. Unfurling the narrative, Nigel explained life on Earth, a juxtaposed planet of thriving biodiversity, home to beings existing alongside storm-tossed cats who prance through foliage, unburdened by cosmic burdens. Through anecdotes and warmth, he conveyed an Earth's notion of relative calm, the whimsy of nighttime stars encountered with a feline's purr. The reality of our existence is deeply rooted in small, often overlooked connections, Nigel continued, broadening his lens to emphasize broader themes, casting Whiskers' prior antics as playful rather than predatory. Shar Khan, in support, added gravitas to Nigel's words. Perhaps her delicacy illustrates how communication and interpretation vary. We draw our confidence not just from perceived superiority but in mastering our piece. Recalling moments aboard the rover I and their time spent together, Nigel summoned tales of laughter echoing across transit decks, trust forged under celestial dazzle, a call to see beyond fear and into the heart of companionship. Whiskers, far from tasking herself with such grand plans, chose that instant to nuzzle against Nigel's shoulder, oblivious to the intimate history unfurling thanks to her innocence. As Nigel spoke, retaining his candidness and sincerity, Whiskers' emblematic simplicity underscored the broader narrative of human desires to foster harmony. Rather than denying diversity, they embraced it, a crown of celestial endeavor illuminated by friendships formed and sustained despite celestial bounds. Near the crescendo of his speech, Nigel invited the assembly into a shared leap of faith. Our duty transcends influences contrived or mistaken. Instead, we must extend our hands, furiously seeking understanding in all the universe offers us. He paused to let his words resound, looking into every realm of gathered aliens whose eyes searched his not as foreigners but as participants of unified purpose. Then, Ixar Khan stepped forward once more to anchor the discussion's impact with clarity. It is the legacy of collective wisdom that empowers us. Inspired by Whiskers, let us tread new paths of cooperation. Encouraged by their mutual enthusiasm, the assembly began to delve into policies and discussions designed to stay collaborative and steadfast, a testament to the resilient alliances born of transparency over ambiguity. Reality began to mirror Nigel's stories as the fractious impulses within factions exposed themselves, throwing in stark contrast the unity gifted by candidness. Alongside a handful of appointed guardians, stalwart defenders of peace who endeavored always to hold communications sacred, they wove new networks of interspecies exchanges, defanged the venom posed by deceitful strategies. Their confidence solidified as they discussed new trade routes, scientific explorations, and assured safeguarding an alliance fortified through mutual respect and open dialogue. As the convocation drew to a close, each representative firmed their commitment. Stirrings of a shared future percolated through their union, and from the nucleus of hopeful collaborations surged a tidal resurgence of synaptic shelter for allies new and old. One small misstep in perception had opened their awareness, igniting a shared dream previously obscured by doubt. As Nigel, Gralnock, and Jar Khan concluded this unexpected odyssey, buoyed by Whiskers' claimant presence, they knew the triumph was resounding, a future yet unwritten assembled at their fingertips. Returning to the rover I, casting glance in awe back at the station, Nigel's heart looked forward to the unknown. Through this grand convergence where perceptions blurred, one man and his pet catalyzed a tapestry woven by gentle hands, paved towards harmony. In the following days, with Whiskers at his side and the steady gaze of growing friendships, Nigel marveled at the universe's insatiable beauty. In unexpected adventures yet to come, he knew the bonds they forged in understanding would guide them more than any constellation or ancient map. As the ship's engines hummed, taking them towards new horizons. Whiskers nuzzled once more, a playful denouement to an epic, cosmic discovery that whispered through galaxies with feline grace. Thus, in the quiet void born of dusk and dawn, spanning worlds gone by and those not yet known, Nigel and Whiskers, unassuming shepherds of nascent peace, wandered, leaving traces in starlight, for those seeking out remarkable truths amidst cosmic wonder. As the dust settled from the recent upheaval and the galaxy resumed its steady spin, the realities of the cosmos felt both boundless and intimately tangible to Nigel. He stood quietly on the observation deck of the rover II, Whiskers nestled like a velvety orb of serenity in the crook of his arm. Their journey from the peaceful skies trade station carved an indelible path through the tapestry of stars, weaving destinies together with threads of understanding and unexpected camaraderie. The events that had unfolded had been transformative not only for Nigel and his fellow travelers but for the alliances they had forged. Subsequent agreements solidified the peace that had been tenuous at best, now reinforced through open dialogue and genuine respect. Alien factions that had once eyed each other warily had begun to form conduits of cooperation, finding common ground in places they had previously ignored. In this moment of reflection, Nigel's thoughts turned to the start of their saga, an unremarkable beginning on a planet of blue and green, with oceans reflecting endless skies and fields of green stretching beyond sight. He couldn't help but smile wryly as he considered how such critically acclaimed cosmic events had been set in motion by Whiskers, his cat, who now dozed contentedly, blissfully unaware of her celebrity status in parts unknown. Galactic, with whom Nigel had formed an unlikely bond, a partnership sealed in the fires of uncertainty, and shared goals approached with the calm poise that characterized the tea-rigid diplomat. His expression hinted at the thoughtful repose of someone who had spent a lifetime navigating complex civic webs, now appreciative of the relative peace that settled over them like a soft dusting of stardust. "Contemplating our recent exploits?" Nigel Galactic inquired, his voice a gentle harbor amidst the cosmic sea of reflections. His presence was steadying, a reminder that their journey was as much about shared experiences as it was about individual growth. Nigel nodded, the kaleidoscope of recent memories simmering beneath the surface of thought. "It's funny how everything unfolded. I thought I'd just be seeing the sights, maybe learning a bit about alien culture, not sparking a diplomatic change." He chuckled, the sound infused with equal parts incredulity and wonder. "Change often follows the most unexpected paths," Galactic replied, his multifaceted eyes alight with wisdom. "Our worldviews expanded because you shared a simple truth about the mundane, about what it means to connect." As they stood together, observing the delicate dance of distant galaxies, Nigel realized the profound truth lying embedded within Galactic's words. He had started with no more than small steps and heartfelt connections, bridging species divides with honesty and warmth. Events on the trade station had prompted intense introspection, urging him to perceive the universe with eyes unblinkered by habit or prejudice. Factions previously steeped in mistrust were now engaging openly, a feat achieved through the unifying language of storytelling and shared imagination ignited by Whiskers' presence, a pet by Earth standards but a symbol of mystery and strength to others. The playful misconceptions encountered during his travels had inadvertently driven interspecies trust and camaraderie deeper than Nigel could have anticipated. Whiskers epitomized the enigma of perception, had guided them to ever wider spectrums of understanding, of recognizing that within the heart of variance lay the essence of coexistence. Throughout their journey, Nigel had grown immensely beyond planetary confines, expanding with insight, each encounter adding layers to the awareness that actions and interpretations held recursive possibilities within a universal community. As Galactic spoke of following years and burgeoning alliances, Nigel grasped the nuances of such an intricate dance, one he was now entwined within, a cosmic citizen alongside diverse individuals. Their plans were interrupted by the crackling sound of the intercom, through which Captain Trix's voice summoned the crew with a familiar cadence that suggested a lightness of spirit. "All hands assemble in the mess hall for an unexpected celebration. Word is out that we have something remarkable to toast." Curiosity mingled with Nigel's expectation as they made their way to the Rover II's central gathering point, collecting from nooks and crannies crew members who had become a mismatched family by choice. As they gathered amidst the gilded hum of the spacecraft's heart, Captain Trix stood in the midst, flanked by crew additions and regulars alike, all eyes fixed upon her with appreciation and newfound bonds. Her eyes twinkled with comic mischief, likely aware of her dual role as captain and custodian of ship-wide spirits. Friends. Trix began, a warmth in her voice that brushed aside official decorum in favor of camaraderie. Today marks a historic journey for our little mishmash of cosmic wanderers. Not only did we navigate an alliance that few could ever have foretold, but we did so while defying odds and conventions through honesty, humor, and a certain refereed feline laughter rippled through the crowd. Nigel caught Trix's eye, raising Whiskers comfortably in his grasp. "I knew it was part of her plan all along," he replied teasingly, garnering another wave of chuckles. "So in honor of our unorthodox alliance," architect Trix wiggled an eyebrow, gesturing towards Whiskers with theatrical flourish, "I present the first ever title of Galactic Apex Peacemaker to our fluffy ambassador, and thanks to our mutual voice, Nigel, who knows how to translate what we missed." Whiskers' dispassionate yawn evoked further merriment, an apt summation of her regal indifference to galactic affairs, yet the delighted crowd mirrored affection and collaborative cheer. In the celebration that followed, laughter rang and spirits soared aloft alongside stories of hope. The resolve among them was tangible, forming into whispers of mutual regard and plans to advance, spanning worlds forged now in shared enterprise on the anvil of unparalleled unity. As starborn melodies and revelry persisted, drifting into cherished echoes, Nigel found himself amidst his newfound companions on this vessel of change, gratitude painting the reflections upon starlit vistas. In the dazzling complex cosmos stretched before them, unified hope seemed at last plausible. Nigel held Whiskers close, her comforting purr resonating in harmonious empowerment. Among friends and faces alight with discovery, he knew that they walked together into destinies anew, hand in paw, steered by cosmically crafted humility, a pilgrim at peace along a path unforeseen. As the evening ebbed towards twilight, the knowing warmth kindled once more among hearts in agreement. What was embarked upon here gazed beyond barriers, echoing out through infinity from a simple shared truth: one pet, one look, one enduring curiosity. And in the boundless depths of space, kinship new and old, luminescent in constellations unseen, unveiled dreams cast daring into a universe ever reaching for light. Such was their adventure, a tale spun from stardust, laughter echoing through time eternal as sensibilities harmonized in radiant unity.